If you remember Farm Boy Luke taking on a Sarlacc, Chewbacca taking on a trash monster, and Palpatine straight up flying, then you grew up playing the Super Star Wars trilogy, and in this video we're going to take a look back at these classic games to see how well they've held up and if they're still worth playing. Let's begin with the original game released for the Super Nintendo in 1992. And unfortunately the start screen doesn't give the best first impression. Luke looks like a 40-year-old alcoholic and Vader's melted a little. Now, Super Star Wars has developed a reputation for being one of those really hard old games. And I can definitely tell why. Look, straight away poor Luke's getting attacked by every creature on Tatooine. God damn it, I haven't even had a chance to figure out the controls. And even if you wipe out every creature on screen, they'll just respawn a few seconds later. Okay, the scorpions can't hurt me if they can't get close. Oh no, they can with the plasma grenades coming out of their stingers. Geez, no wonder Luke was so desperate to get off Tatooine. Look, the level ends with him taking on a damn Sarlacc. This game also plays a bit loose with the continuity. Luke just stumbles upon 3PO right after the crash landing, and then they go looking for R2 in the speeder in this Mode 7 type level. The goal is to head for the Sandcrawler, but first, Luke must wipe out a bunch of Jawas on their little bikes. Also, it turns out that Luke actually made some aftermarket modifications on his speeder which lets it full on fly using the boosters. Next are a bunch of levels on the Sandcrawler, and this is where we start to see that unforgiving 90s platforming. One wrong jump and you're back to the beginning. Luke then descends into the bowels of the Sandcrawler. Look, most games would just have spikes, but this one has spikes and the laser arm thing, and this is only the 4th level. Look, even the gong droids are trying to kill you in this game. Why do they have guns? And what the hell is this? Since when did the Sandcrawler have a lava monster inside it? R2, how the hell did you get this far? Oh damn it, I'm dead again. This is followed by another desert level. Oh, mind your step, Luke. Also, at one point, Luke is platforming in the sky. Young Skywalker then follows in his father's footsteps and takes out hundreds of Tusken Raiders. Wait, what? The Banthas are enemies too? No, don't make me kill them. Also, for some reason they explode. This is also the first level where Luke gets to use Anakin's lightsaber. I mean, it's mainly just upswings at this point, but it's all good. And the level ends with Luke taking on a mutant wombat. We then take on a few more Jawas in the speeder before getting to Mos Eisley. Oh look, a sleeping dewback, that's cool. This is followed by the Cantina level where every single patron tries to kill Luke. Half of them are werewolves that do the Taz spin, and the other half just bounce around in a ball. But a big well done to the developers for giving this level a great sense of atmosphere. Look, they've even got the band in the background. The level ends with another boss fight, but fun fact, the monster here is actually based on one of the Hollow Chess characters in the movie. The next level actually has Han as a playable character. His blaster is a bit more powerful and he rolls instead of slides, but that's pretty much the main difference between him and Luke. Also, why are there stormtroopers falling from the sky? Our heroes then arrive on the Death Star and you get to play as Chewie. And dear God, this is another impossible level. Look, if you don't fall into the holes or get run over by a TIE fighter, then the stormtroopers are gonna get you. Even the mouse droids are after you. We then get a Han level in the detention area. Alright kid, I think we're gonna make it. Ah! Also, did you know that one of the stormtroopers borrowed a machine from Dr. Eggman and tried to use it to kill Han Solo? True story. This is followed by a super long platforming level where Luke scales the tractor beam generator, and if the platforming don't get you, the stormtroopers most definitely will. Eventually, our heroes escape and we get another speeder type level, only this time with an X-Wing on the Death Star. This time you've got to destroy the TIEs and the towers. And this is the only X-Wing mission I've ever played where the starfighter can actually drift. And if you somehow made it this far, or used cheat codes, you get to play the final level, the Trench Run. This section is on rails with you having to shoot down the TIEs and stop your shields from getting depleted until you reach the reactor. And yeah, good luck with this one. Oh, and also if you don't realize that the torpedo is actually mapped onto the shoulder buttons, then you're screwed and you have to do the last level from the start again. And so there we have it, the original Super Star Wars. A high quality run and gun platformer with great presentation and brutal difficulty. And now that we've set the benchmark, let's move on to the sequel released the following following year. And this time around, LucasArts took pity on us mere mortals by adding a password system. We begin with Luke on Hoth, and once again everything is trying to kill him, from ice creatures to big snowballs. Seriously, who's throwing these? Luckily, the Wampa is here to help Luke, Yoshi style. Now, riding it actually doubles your health, but unfortunately even that's not enough and the poor fella will eventually snuff it. Luke also gets a few new saber moves in this one, and the blaster is still available. And straight from the first level you can tell this sequel isn't going to take it easier on the player. In fact, it's going to kick your ass even more, so get ready to see surprised Yoda a bunch of times.
You order not. There is no try.
This time around, the enemies can also freeze poor Luke and disable him for a few moments, as if the game wasn't difficult enough. The platforming is also more challenging because these snowy peaks can be quite slippery. And just like the original game, most levels end with a final boss. It's gonna be the Wampa, right? Wow, I guess not. After a couple of levels in the snow, Luke finally arrives at Echo Base. Unfortunately, it's overrun by rogue droids who end up killing him immediately. Yep, true story. The Mode 7 vehicle missions make a return in the form of the Snowspeeder section. It's similar to the first game, having you fly around the stage and shoot enemies, but the controls have been improved. This level also ends with the hardest harpoon section ever. The tow cable just keeps flailing around, and even if you do get it to work, the 8080 perspective is all over the place. This is followed by a side-scroller speeder level, where the speeder kind of takes up half the screen, but the second half of the level is on foot and has Luke scaling the walker, which is a really nice touch. What follows is a long maze level inside the walker itself. The next few levels have you play as Han, and look, he's already staring at the player. Just use the password, kid. Hey, check out my breakdancing moves. I'm sorry, but what the f*** is this thing and why is it on Echo Base? This is followed by an Asteroid Falcon level similar to the trench run at the end of the first game, but this time it's not on rails and you can actually fly in every direction, which is really impressive for a Super Nintendo game. The goal here is to take out all the TIE fighters whilst avoiding getting pelted by the asteroids. Also, this goes for all three of the games, but the developers did a great job with the soundtrack. All your favorite John Williams themes are here in all their 16-bit goodness. Alright, next up is a couple of Dagobah levels, and these are actually surprisingly chill. Sure, everything is still trying to kill you, but compared to Hoth, this is just a nice stroll through the jungle. At this point, the game also introduces force powers that you can cycle through using the shoulder buttons. Okay, so naturally this section has to end with a boss battle against Vader in the cave, right? Nope, it's a giant swamp monster. Meanwhile, Han Solo tries to make his way through Cloud City, taking on cloud carts and possessed vacuum cleaners. I'm so sorry for these poor Bespin citizens having to navigate all this crap every time they want to pop out for some milk. Lando, I think you've got a bit of an administration problem. This is followed by the longest, most frustrating level in the game, Chewie in the Ugnaught Underground, which ends with a battle against a literal trash monster in a lava pit. For some reason, there's also a Han level in the Carbonite facility. Why are you all trying to stop him? Don't you want him to get to the carbon freezing chamber? I mean, look, they show the cutscene right at the end. We then get a Chewie escape level. Oh geez, how am I supposed to get up there? Meanwhile, Luke has been huffing too many Dagobah swamp fumes and finds himself in a vaporwave trip. My god, it's beautiful. I just don't understand, why am I shooting down the cloud carts? Aren't they just innocent civil servants? The Force is with you, young Skywalker. Now navigate through this platforming level. Also, this is the kind of level where you can't actually see the platforms when you're jumping. Guess you gotta use the Force, Luke. Well, at least at this point, Luke has most of his new Force powers. You know, the famous ones from the movie, like turning invisible or straight up flying. Yeah, why didn't he just fly across Cloud City in the movie? Plus, Vader can also fly in this one. And I do love how they incorporated all the little twists and twirls from the movie in his animation.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Also, remember that time in the movie where Luke falls for like a mile collecting coins before hitting the ground without a scratch? I know at this point I sound like a broken record, but this level is really hard. From the platforming to just having too many enemies on screen to the Vader fight at the end where he throws like a million bits of junk at you. And if you do somehow manage to defeat him, he just flies away. And so that's it for Super Empire Strikes Back. It retains the charm and polish of the first game, but the difficulty here is just way too high. Now, the following year, the trilogy would be complete with the release of Super Return of the Jedi. And this one starts with our heroes on the way to Jabba's palace. Ah, shit, I didn't realize you had to jump in this one. God damn it, Luke, why couldn't we just use the X-Wing? The big new feature in this one is the ability to select playable characters for many of the levels. Luke no longer has a blaster, but at least he did keep many of the Force powers from the last game. Visually, this game is the most impressive of the three, adding little flourishes like the heat effects in the desert. This is also the first game where you can play as Leia, who's a bit faster and a lot more agile than the male characters. Super Return of the Jedi is very much a continuation of the first two installments. There's more platforming, more slashing and shooting, and more boss fights. It's still really tough, but you can tell the developers tried to balance out the difficulty a bit in this one. But this was the first installment where the gameplay and level design did start to feel a bit repetitive at times. We go through Jabba's palace, then the prison cells, then the dark, dingy Rancor pit before taking on the big monster itself. This is followed by the Jabba sail barge level where you will fall off many times. There's also a level inside which ends with Leia taking on Jabba as a boss. His attacks include spitting frogs and trying to tickle you to death with his tail. Now, the Endor sections start with a bike level through the forest. And I'll be honest, this one doesn't look that great nowadays, but the developers were trying to do their best with the hardware limitations of the time. And then, as an unexpected move, you get to play as Wicket the Ewok in the village. His attacks are mostly limited to the bow and arrow, but it's a charming little level. And by charming, I actually mean terrifying. Who knew that the Ewok village was infested with dinosaurs and all sorts of evil-looking creatures? This is followed by a Luke level in the forest. God damn it, will you stop shooting and electrocuting me? I'm trying to hand myself in. Fun fact, this level ends with a boss battle against some original Dark Troopers from the EU. We then get a Falcon level, but this one is quite unique because it has you control the top cannon. This is followed by a long maze level inside the shield generator, and if you play as Leia, she actually changes her outfit and swaps the staff for a blaster. Next up, it's back to Luke chopping his way through the Death Star. Wait, hold on, isn't he supposed to be a peaceful prisoner at this point? Ah, who cares? Here's a Mode 7 Falcon stage. Look, it can fly completely vertical now. Then it's back to Luke, who's found this cool temporary power-up. Whee! Look at me go! I'm I'm dead. Now, I know that I talked about the better difficulty balancing in this game, but this late in, it kind of goes out of the window. For example, these Royal Guards can wipe you out in 2 hits with their floor sweep of death. Also, remember that time the Emperor mounted a Gatling gun in his throne room? Yeah, Luke's as confused at this as we are. It's too bad they cut corners with the Vader boss fight because it's exactly the same as an Empire, even down to the sprite and animations. But it's followed by this Palpatine fight where he's full on flying and zapping Luke with lightning. Also, fun fact, they got this pose straight out of the movie concept art by Ralph McQuarrie. Meanwhile, Lando is trying to penetrate the Death Star's core in this disorientating first-person stage. Let's try spinning, that's a good trick. I think I'm gonna throw up. This is the last level in the game, and it takes forever. It's almost like the developers try to work out the real depth of the Death Star and base the level on that. So you blow up the reactor and that's it, right? Nope, you then have to try and escape before the trench explodes. And I'll be honest, I have no idea how to beat this level. So as far as I'm concerned, this game is an alternate reality where Lando doesn't make it. And so there we have it, the Super Star Wars trilogy. As fun as endearing as it is unforgiving. These games capture the thrill of Star Wars in a way that's uniquely 16-bit. Fast, chaotic, and full of personality. Sure, they may not follow the films beat for beat, but the sheer love and attention to detail poured into every single sprite, sound effect, and set piece more than than makes up for any creative liberties. All 3 games are most certainly still worth playing, just make sure to have your blood pressure medication nearby. But that's just my take. Please let me know your memories of the Super Star Wars Trilogy in the comments below. Which is your favorite game, favorite level, and favorite random boss that had absolutely no business being in these games? As always, thanks for watching. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and a big thanks to my existing patrons. If you've enjoyed this video, then please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.